everyone, welcome to Hatha Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. So you may want to grab a couple of yoga blocks, a strap, perhaps a blanket.
Michelle, your audio went out.
Michelle, we can't hear you.
Yes. Can you hear me now? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
For some reason, that microphone turned off.
It might have just glitched. Sorry, Michelle, I don't think it's working. I'll let you know.
All right, take 3. So come on down onto your back. Let's begin in your version of Shavasana. Just allowing a moment to literally ground, to feel the support of the ground below your body. Maybe closing your eyes, maybe a hand to the heart center, a hand to the navel center. So I was talking to someone today about self-care, and it's interesting to hear so many perspectives on the definition of self-care. And as it should be, because it does have the word self, so it's different for each person and each moment. Here's a little bit about it from the Yoga Almanac. Bubble baths and dark chocolate may be antidotes to a hectic world, but self-care is more than indulgence. It's about slowing down and tuning into the subtle wisdom of your body and your mind. It's coming home to yourself, relishing in the hallways of your imagination, rejuvenating without external stimuli, and trusting that doing so is not selfish. Practicing self-care creates bodily space for an expanding mind. A person cannot serve from an empty well. In order to live a life of embodied empathy and compassion, we may have to put a pause on responsibility so that we may fill our own coffers. This is why coming to the mat in yoga practice feels like coming home. When we tune into the mind-body connection with unfettered attention, we settle into ourselves. We literally come home to the self. So as you're allowing a moment here to reunite mind, body, breath, I invite you to take in a deeper inhalation, slowly filling up. And then as you're ready, opening the mouth, letting any sound release that needs to. And a few more times at your pace. Maybe play with lengthening the in and out breath a little bit slower. And perhaps placing a pause at both the bottom of the exhalation for a few seconds, the top of the inhalation. Truly feel those bookends of each breath. And just like you're going at your own pace right now, deepening your breath, let this whole practice be about honoring the pace that your energy needs to rebalance. And with that, let's ease into slow, Gently audible breaths through the nose in which you softly narrow the back of your throat. That practice of Ujjayi pranayama. So tuning into that subtle sound as your breath whispers. Begin to bend your right knee into your chest, catching hold of your shin or your thigh. Then grounding the backs of your shoulders, lengthen your neck. Extend your left leg forward, or if it's more appropriate for your body right now, you can bend your left knee and set the left foot on the floor. Now let's give the right foot a few circles, both directions. So wind relieving pose or apanasana. And if you're not yet straightening your left leg, go ahead and slide it forward, scoot your hips another 3 to 4 inches towards the right edge of your mat and open your right arm wide out to its side. Grounding your right shoulder and looking past it, begin to twist to your left side, slowly, breath by breath. If you've got any stuckness or tension in your lower back, you might like to place the left palm on your right outer hip. And as you breathe out, gently pressing your right outer hip away from your torso, so it tilts slightly towards your left foot. And then listen to this breath to the very end of the exhale. Before rolling onto your back and sliding the right leg forward, bending the left knee into your chest as you center your pelvis on the mat. So let's start an Apanasana, circling your left foot in both directions. Feel that both of your shoulders are still grounded here. And then remember that you could bend your right knee if that feels more appropriate for your body right now. Let's take one more full breath, drawing the thigh even closer to your left side of your abdomen as you breathe out. And now do ensure that your right leg is straight forward on the floor. Slide your hips 3 to 4 inches closer to the left edge of your mat. Open your left arm wide on the floor, grounding the shoulder as you look past it, and then begin to twist to your right side. And if your lower back is feeling stagnant in some way, you can place your right hand on your left outer hip. And as you're breathing out, gently press it away from your torso so that it tilts slightly towards your right foot. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. And at the bottom of your exhale, unwind back to center. Draw your 2 bent knees into your chest. And begin to rock either side to side or forward and back a few times, gently massaging your lower back onto the ground. Turning over to one side, press the floor away as you rise into a comfortable seat. Just taking a moment here to sit tall as you join your palms together at your heart, bowing in. To connect to your focus for your practice, what are you choosing to cultivate, to focus on? And sending that out as we share our practices together. Let's join our voices in one chant of Om. Take a deep breath. Breathing in deeply through the nose, breathing out evenly. Back to that soft whisper of Ujjayi breath. Let's come down to hands and knees, all fours. Begin to move the spine in cat-cow to the sound of your breath. As you inhale, glide your chest through your upper arms, roll your shoulders back, lifting your heart. As you exhale, contract your belly, rounding your back. Take maybe 4 to 5 more slow cycles to your breath. And on your next exhalation, rounding into cat, tuck your toes, lift your hips back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And feel free, if you want to take the first few breaths, to move your body around in your own way to loosen up, like pedaling your feet in place, softly shaking and nodding your head. Feel your hands here as you're spreading your fingers wide and flat. Point your index fingers straight ahead so they're parallel to each other. Root the base of your thumb and index fingers to the ground as you spiral your triceps or outer upper arms to slightly face the ground. Broadening your shoulders, lift them high away from your head as you drop your head, looking at the floor towards your feet. Now let's hold still about 3 more breaths. Lifting your sitting bones high, firming your belly towards your back, and drawing your weight down the backs of your legs through your heels. Knees can be as bent as needed. Heels don't have to touch the floor. Nice, and then as you exhale next, walk your feet forward to the top of your mat in a forward fold. Parallel your feet, hips width apart. Press your fingertips on the floor or your legs. And as you inhale, lift your spine halfway up, looking forward. Exhale, fold in. Pressing through your feet, inhale, sweep your arms overhead, rising to stand. Watch your palms touch. Tracing your midline, exhale your arms down by your sides, mountain pose. Let's move into sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Press your legs to the ground. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Plant your hands on the floor and exhale, step into the top of a push-up, legs straight or knees on the ground, and glide forward. Graze your elbows by your side ribs to lower all the way to the ground. Pressing every toenail into the earth. Inhale into a light cobra pose, coiling your chest off the floor. Hug your elbows close to your ribs, and then tuck your toes. Exhale, press the floor away. Lift your hips back to downward facing dog. Let's pause here, steadying your gaze for 3 to 5 breaths. So listening to that smooth and balanced sound rhythm in your breath. You're going to start to move at your own pace as we finish 2 more sun salutation A's. So bend your knees, lift your heels and hips high, look just past your hands. After exhaling, hold your breath as you walk or lightly hop to the top of your mat into a forward fold. Then inhale, press with your fingertips and rise forward halfway up. Exhale, fold in. Press with your feet, inhale, rise all the way up. Watch your palms meet. Exhale, tracing your midline, mountain pose. So twice more, inhale, sweep your arms up into Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow forward into Uttanasana. Inhale, rise halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Step into your plank pose and continue to lower forward through Chaturanga Dandasana. Some of you might choose upward facing dog, otherwise cobra as you breathe in. Then exhale to lift your hips back into downward facing dog. Pausing here for your own count of 3 to 5 breaths. So that's the sequence of Surya Namaskar A that we're using to energize and warm up. Taking one last round on your own. I'll do it with you so you can peek here if you need to remember what comes next. Walk or float to the top of your mat when you're ready. Keep going. And we'll meet for a few breaths in downward facing dog. When you get there, please bring your feet together to touch. Spreading your fingers flat into the earth, pressing the mat forward. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. And as you're exhaling, bend your right knee, turn your thigh open at the hip, and then spend a few breaths rotating your right thigh bone at the hip socket in both directions. All the while, let your head hang freely, relax your neck. Straighten both arms equally as you lift the shoulders back. On your next in-breath, raise your right leg straight behind you, now turning both hips to face the ground. Exhale, round through plank, bending your right knee towards your nose to softly land your right foot right between your hands. Spinning your back heel down, align your front heel to the arch of your back foot. Then firm down to your feet and inhale, cartwheel your arms to rise up. So landing in Warrior Two. As you open your arms wide, allow your ankles to land pretty much right under your wrists. Wrap your right outer hip underneath your body slightly so that your front knee, bending just over the heel, faces directly forward in line with your middle toe. As you straighten your back leg, it's slightly rotated inward. Feel that your pelvis is balanced, upright, and neutral. Spine is tall, shoulders are relaxed. And you're steadying a soft gaze just past your right hand. Let's take another 3 breaths. Virabhadrasana 2. Spreading your toes from down to your feet. Inhale, straighten your right leg. We're going to prepare for triangle pose. Now, if it feels a bit too wide of a stance, you can shorten your stance a couple inches if you like to help you balance. Glide your pelvis sideways towards the back of your mat as you reach your right arm horizontally towards your front wall, as far as you can reach before lowering that hand down onto your right leg, or just to the right of your leg, maybe using a block. Now continue to wrap your right outer hip underneath your body so your front knee and middle toe are still tracing the midline of your mat. Your left leg is still slightly turned inward. And as you're firming down to your feet, slightly activate the front muscle of your thighs. Left arm straight up as you're rotating your chest slightly to face the sky. Find a point to steady your eyes on. If it feels okay on your neck, try up past your left thumb. So let's take another 3 breaths here in Trikonasana. So taking this posture to balancing on one leg into Ardha Chandrasana, you may like to place your left hand on your left hip. Gaze at the ground a foot ahead of your right toes and bend your right knee. Keep your breath steady and walk your right hand. Take the block if you're using one. 6 inches ahead of your right pinky toe out to the right corner. Drag your left foot forward and flex it as you raise the leg parallel to the floor and tracing the midline of your mat. Turn your chest completely to face your left wall so that your shoulders naturally stack right above your right wrist. And then you can decide if you want to raise your left arm up. There's a variation called Chupasana you might play with to open the front of your left shoulder and your left quadricep, and that's bending the left knee towards your chest, using your left hand to catch hold of the top of your left foot, and kicking your left leg back towards half moon while pulling the heel towards your glute as you open the front of your left shoulder. Let's take another 3 or so breaths in your version of Ardha Chandrasana. Now, if your left knee is bent, slowly straighten the leg, keep the foot flexed, and very slowly and softly step the left foot back to Warrior Two. Flip the right palm to face the sky. Inhale, sweep it back towards your rear wall in Peaceful Warrior. Then exhale, cartwheel your hands to the ground, moving to a vinyasa or a few rounds of cat-cow, or go straight to downward facing dog. Noticing your breath again. In downward dog, bring your feet together to touch. Then inhale, raise your left leg. Exhaling, bend the left knee, turn your thigh open at the hip, and then spend a few more breaths rotating your left thigh bone at the hip socket, going in both directions. Now notice the energy of your neck, jaw, shoulders here. Let your head hang low. Both arms are equally lengthening here as you're pressing the mat with your palms. On your next inhale, raise your left leg behind you, turn both hips to face the ground. Exhale, hollow your belly, round forward through plank, bending left knee towards your nose. Softly land the foot right between your hands, spin the back heel down. Align front heel to arch of back foot. Inhale, cartwheel your arms into Warrior Two. So right away, steady your eyes just past your left hand as you open your arms wide. Feel that your ankles land pretty much right under your wrists. Feel that your left outer hip is rotating slightly under your body as you're bending the front knee right on top of the heel. It's facing forward in line with the middle toe. Right leg is straight and slightly turned inward. Tall spine, shoulders relaxed. Let's listen in on 3 more breaths. Pressing down through your feet, inhale, straighten your left leg. You may want a slightly shorter stance for triangle pose. Exhale, glide your hips sideways towards your back wall. Reach your left fingertips towards your front wall before lowering it onto your left leg, or just to the left of your leg, maybe on a block. Notice your left outer hip continues to roll under your body, and now you're tacking it back towards the rear heel. Your right heel. And as your right arm is straight up, spiral your chest slightly towards the sky while sending your 2 shoulders down your back. Focusing your eyes on one spot, steady your gaze or drishti. Another 40 breaths, Trikonasana. Moving into Ardha Chandrasana, look down about a foot ahead of your front foot. You may like to place right hand on your right hip. Bend your left knee, walk your left fingertips, take a block if you're using one, 6 inches ahead of your left pinky toe out to the left corner. Drag your right foot forward and flex it, raising your right leg parallel to the ground, tracing the midline of your mat. As you turn your chest completely to face your right wall, and then decide what you want to do with your right arm. It can stay right where it is. You could raise it up. You You could move into Chapasana if you did so on the first side, and that's bending right knee into your chest, catching the top of the foot as you kick the leg straight. You're pulling the heel in towards your glute, opening your inner right shoulder. So whatever your variation, tune into your breath for 3 or so more cycles. If your right knee is bent, slowly straighten your leg, flex your right foot, and take your time to mindfully step it back into Warrior Two. From there, flip your left palm to face up, sweep it towards the rear wall in Peaceful or Exalted Warrior. Then exhale your hands to the ground, enter a vinyasa, take a child's pose, or go directly to Downward Facing Dog. Re-steadying your breath in and out through your nose. Preparing for our second round of sun salutations. This time, Surya Namaskar B. So bend your knees, look ahead of your hands. On empty breath, walk or float your feet together to touch at the top. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees together. Here's the beginning of the Surya Namaskar. Inhale into Utkatasana, chair pose. Lean back towards your heels. Then exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. We're going right into one breath per movement. Exhale, step into plank or float into Chaturanga if that is a part of your normal practice. Moving through Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Then Downward Facing Dog. Inhale, raise the right leg back, squaring your hips to face the floor. Exhale, lightly step the right foot beside your right thumb. Keep your hips facing forward as you drop the back heel. Inhale, rise up into Warrior One. Use the exhale to lower again from plank through Chaturanga. Inhale, Cobra or Upward Dog. Exhale, Downward Dog, side 2. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, step the foot beside your left thumb, both hips facing forward, drop your back heel. Inhale, rise into Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower. Take it all the way through your chosen vinyasa. Remember, you could practice cat-cow as well. And as you come back to Downward Dog, pause there, steady your gaze, and rebalance your breath for 3 to 5 cycles. Then bending your knees, look ahead of your hands. On emptied breath, walk or float your feet together at the top. Inhale to rise halfway. Exhale to fold in. Bend your knees to touch. Inhale, chair pose. And exhale to rise up. So like we did lying on our backs, keeping your 2 hips facing forward, your 2 shoulders stacked right above your hips. Press down to your left foot. Flex your right foot. Take a breath. And then exhale, bend your right knee towards your belly or chest. So keep your right foot flexed here. You can catch hold of your right thigh or your right shin. You could also use your right thumb here to tack your right outer hip down. Because when we lift a leg, sometimes that side of the pelvis will want to hike up. Try to keep your pelvis balanced on left and right sides to help you connect to your center. Now, using your left hand to hold the outside of your right knee, if you want to keep it bent, we're going to enter a twist. Or, if your balance feels pretty stable, you could use your left hand to hold your outer right foot and extend your right leg to whatever degree possible, straight forward, making sure your spine stays vertical. Take a breath in, stand a little taller. And then hollow your belly as you exhale, begin to rotate your chest to face your right wall. So right hand could be pressing the right hip down or You could extend your right arm straight back, maybe looking towards your right hand. Let's take about 3 or so more breaths here in Parita, Uttita Hasta, Padangusthasana, revolved hand to big toe pose. Taking one more breath. If you're looking behind you, start to look forward. Join your hands together, your heart. Keep your right leg extended or bent forward. One more breath in, stand tall. And then exhale, slowly step the right foot down. Inhale, circle your arms overhead, hooking your thumbs. Lift the lower spine, anchor the tailbone, then coil your chest and look up. Take another breath in, spread the collarbones apart. Drop the shoulders. And then exhale, scoop the belly in to lift your spine vertically, tracing your palms in prayer down your center line. So rooting down your right foot, feel the muscles in your right leg active. Bend your left knee into your chest, catching your thigh or shin, and flex your left foot. Feel your two shoulders stack right above your two balanced hips. If the left hip is hiking up, you might find it helpful to use your left thumb and hook the outer crease of that left hip downward. Now, preparing for the twist, either keep your left knee bent and use your right hand to hold the outside of the knee, or take hold of the outer foot and kick the leg towards straight, just as long as your spine stays vertical. Take a breath in, stand a little taller, and as you exhale, contract the belly slightly and begin to rotate your chest to face the left wall. Breathe in, press into the ground to stand taller. Breathe out, continue to twist. You might extend the left arm behind you, maybe looking past it. Last 2 breaths. If you're looking behind you, slowly take your gaze forward. Keep your left leg in front of you, flex the foot, join your hands in prayer, take a breath in, and then exhale, step your left foot all the way behind you to enter a wide stance. Pivot your feet to face the wide width of your mat. Bring your hands behind your back to clasp or grab a strap to hold between your hands. With your feet wider than hips distance apart and parallel, inhale, roll your shoulders behind you, lifting your chest. Exhale, hinge from your hips, shifting your weight towards the front of your heels as you bow, completely dropping your head for a few breaths. Now with your hands together, bend your elbows slightly and stretch your arms away from your lower back, opening the front of your shoulders. And at the same time, lift your shoulder bones up away from your neck. About 3 more breaths in this version of Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. Bend your knees a lot, lead with your chest. Inhale, slowly rise up. Cartwheel your hands to the floor. If you like, take a vinyasa. Otherwise, meet a straight and downward facing dog for a few breaths. From downward facing dog, please come down to your hands and knees. Take your 2 blocks and placing them either at their medium height, crossing your mat in front of you, or at their tallest height, so that they can be your shoulders width apart there. Tallest height is if your fronts of your shoulders feel pretty warm and loose. If they're feeling kind of tense and your shoulders feel kind of rounded, take the lower version of the blocks. So from here, we'll extend the arms forward, palms face down. Rotate your outer upper arms towards the ground so that you're spreading the shoulder blades apart and pressing them away from your ears. Then place your bent elbows exactly your shoulders distance apart on the blocks. Press your fingertips into each other And then step your knees a couple inches behind your hips, tracing your thumbs down the back of your head towards the back of your neck, maybe towards between your shoulder blades. Whatever degree your shoulders are open here. Try not to splay the elbows apart as you're dropping your head and pressing your shoulder blades down your back. Now slightly lifting your belly here, engage your abdomen slightly so that it's not completely relaxed. You want to lift it slightly to support the length of your lower back. As you're pulling the sitting bones back, the hips remain stacked above your knees. Try breathing into your side ribs here. Fill up the sides of your torso. And anywhere else you might need some opening in your body for 3 more breaths. And as you're ready to come out, lift the belly even more firmly so that you can rise back up and come to stand on all fours, putting the blocks aside as we prepare for one round of your choice of either dolphin pose or Shirshasana headstand. The setup is almost similar, so let's try setting up together and then you can decide where you want to take it. So extending your arms forward again, wrap your triceps down, spread the shoulder blades across the upper back and plug them down away from your ears. Then interlace your fingers, coiling your pinky fingers. Place your bent elbows on the ground exactly your shoulders distance apart. So you've created a triangular base. Root down firmly to your outer wrists, forearms and elbows. And then draw your shoulders back. Continue to do that. Place the very top of your head on the ground. If you are going to enter headstand, only do so if you have no neck injuries. And you don't have to go all the way into it. You can go through the stages and feel it out to where your body is ready to be. And then using the ground to press off of, you're lifting the shoulders and constantly creating space in your neck, never feeling the neck is compressed. If you're going to dolphin pose, you can just let the head hang without bearing weight on it. And then tuck your toes, lift your hips, walk your feet forward to the degree you can closer to your face so that the pelvis begins to turn upside down. All the while, you're pressing the ground away with your forearms to continue lifting the shoulders away from your neck. Now the feet might come together. As the belly contracts, you could start to raise one leg straight up. Remember, you're not kicking into or swinging your legs into a headstand. Keeping your hips squared, flexing the lifted foot. Maybe you take a few breaths with one leg up, whether you're in dolphin pose or moving towards headstand. And then you could switch legs, or maybe see if that lifted leg can act like torque to help lift the bottom foot. If you're lifting both legs, bring your feet together, flexed, and lift the balls of your feet, big toes, towards the sky. Elongate your tailbone towards your inner heels. You're creating a vertical line from ankles, stacking above pelvis, stacking above shoulders, stacking above elbows. How's your breath? Inversions, heated active inversions like headstand, as well as dolphin pose, are helpful in boosting circulation of blood throughout the body, helping to release stagnant energy. Lots of health benefits to it. Promote digestion. And when you decide to come down, maybe after 5 or more breaths, take your time to gently lower into child's pose, placing your arms anywhere you prefer in child's pose. Be mindful not to lift your head up too quickly after being upside down for a while. Let's take another 3 deep breaths, resting in child's pose, balasana. Again, listening to that sound of your breath at the back of your throat. And placing your hands alongside your knees. Inhale, roll your spine upright to sit. We'll progress through a series of 3 heart-opening back bends, starting in camel's pose. So please take one of your blocks. As you come to stand on your knees, hips width apart, tuck your toes behind you. We're only practicing each back bend once. So using the skinniest width of the block, hug it right between your thighs firmly. Place your hands on your lower back, fingertips face down. Keeping your pelvis right above your knees, bend your elbows close together and actively lengthen your tailbone down towards the ground between your knees as you lift your back ribs away from your tailbone. So you're lengthening your lower back. Take a deep breath and lift your chest, roll your shoulder heads behind you and down, beginning to coil your chest and slightly look up. So you're in the posture for 5 to 10 breaths. And when you're ready to come out with hands on your lower back, slowly roll your spine upright and take a comfortable seat. You might explore backstroking one arm and catching hold of the heel behind you and then switching sides, or backstroking both arms to hold both heels. Just as long as you don't feel any pinch in the lower back, your pelvis remains stacked above your knees. The back bend is mostly happening right under your shoulder blades. You could also use the block as a stool right between your ankles when you're ready to sit and rest for maybe 3 or so breaths. So the second back bend is lying on your stomach, moving into bound locust pose with an option to transition into bow pose. So let's come to lie down on our bellies, legs straight back, feet as close together as possible, making sure they stay parallel, and your knees do not splay wider than hips distance apart in any of the 2 postures. Forehead resting on the floor, reach your hands behind your lower back to clasp. If they don't reach, you can grab a strap to hold between them. Press your heels back so much that as you inhale to coil your chest off the floor, you can lift your legs straight off the ground. Reaching the knuckles of your hands towards your heels, you're in it, bound locust pose. Stay here or bend both knees to transition into bow, using your hands to catch hold of your outer feet, kicking your legs towards straight as you pull your feet. 5 or more breaths in total. And when you're ready to come out of the posture, let everything go. Lie with your forehead resting on your forearms if you like. And you could windshield wiper your shins side to side as you're resting. Perhaps taking a few belly breaths in and exhales through the mouth. And then take a moment, please, to press your hands into the floor and lift up to hands and knees so that you can slide your legs out in front of you for our last back bend and bridge. So bending your knees as your pelvis sits right at the center of your mat. Again, take a block by the skinny width and hug it right between your thighs. See that your feet are as wide apart as your knees and your feet are parallel. Then lower down onto your back. With your arms straight down by your ribs. slide your feet towards your hands until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite, just almost. Pressing the backs of your shoulders down, tilt your chin slightly away from your chest. Pressing your feet down, use an inhale to begin lifting your spine. Tailbone lifts to reach towards the block. Upper arms might slide closer together under your back ribs. You might even interlace the fingers if that's available. So again, give yourself 5 to 10 full breaths, full expansion of your lungs, opening your heart space. As your feet stay parallel, feel your weight press down throughout the 4 corners of each foot. Feel the fronts of your thighs actively lengthening towards your front wall. And when you have decided to lower from bridge pose, please put the block aside. Turn over to one side, and we'll gradually rise to sit for a neutralizing posture for the spine, a seated spinal twist. So extending your left leg forward as I'm mirroring you here, you could set up your right foot so that it's in front of your right hip. You could also cross the foot outside of your left knee, in which you might also bend your left knee. So choose the option that allows your 2 sitting bones to ground, your spine to be upright. Then place your right hand on the floor behind your pelvis. Raising your left arm, press into the surface below, and inhale, lift your spine, relax your shoulders. Exhale, hollow your belly and twist to your right. Lower your left hand on your shin or hook the elbow outside of your thigh. And then continue to explore whatever range of this twist is available to you, breath by breath. Let's take one more deep breath here. And exhaling, unwind your spine with your left leg straight forward underneath. Cross your right thigh as much as you can over your left thigh as we enter half cow face pose, Ardha Gomukhasana. You may want to grab a strap here to wrap around the ball of your left foot, or place your hands alongside your hips to start. But flex your left foot, press your sitting bones down, and sit up even taller as you breathe in, keeping your shoulders relaxed. Exhale, begin to bow from your hips. If you're not using a strap, walking your hands forward, breath by breath. Two last breaths. And with belly slightly firm, lead with your chest to inhale, rise up. Let's straighten the right leg forward and see if you can set up similarly in your twist as side one. So left foot either in front of the hip or outside the right knee, maybe bending the right knee. Place your left hand on the ground behind your pelvis. Raise your right arm up. Press into the surface below as you breathe length up your spine. Exhale, twist to your left. Lower your right hand on your shin, or hook the elbow outside of your thigh. A breath, continue to twist. One more deep breath here. And as you're exhaling, unwind your spine With your right leg straight in front, cross your left thigh as much as you can over the right. Maybe use a strap around the ball of your right foot. Otherwise, plant your hands alongside your hips. Flexing your right foot, sit up tall, breathe in. Then exhale, begin to bow forward. Ardha Gomukhasana. Let's take 2 last breaths here. And then leading with your chest, inhale, slowly rise up. Let's bring the soles of the feet together for one more hip opening posture, bending the knees apart, catching hold of your big toes or your outer feet. And as you press the ground with your sitting bones, breathe length again up your spine and open your chest. Leading from your chest, exhale, start to fold forward. Now you could keep holding your feet or you could walk your hands onto the floor ahead. Let's take about 4 more breaths here in Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. And then as you're ready, walk your hands towards you, lead with your chest. Inhale to rise up. So as we come to lie down on our backs, take your choice of a cooling inversion. If you have a wall, you could slide your hip against, come down onto your back, legs up the wall pose. If you have a block, you could elevate your sacrum on a block and then lift your legs straight up. If you have no neck or shoulder injuries and have a regular shoulder stand practice, I recommend using a blanket, but just making sure you don't flatten the back of your neck to the floor. So take your cooling inversion for about 1 minute long or less. And then we'll meet in happy baby pose when you're ready. And as you're making your way through happy baby pose, take any last gentle movements, maybe drawing the knees into your chest or circling the legs at the hips. So that in a few breaths, you can ease your way into a comfortable corpse pose, setting your body up in a position of rest for the next few minutes. That might include extending the legs forward, turning the palms up slightly away from your thighs, maybe covering your eyes with something which can help to relax. Closing your eyes and settling in to stillness with natural breath. as you might keep your eyes closed, gently deepening your breath. Ease these into simple movements, easy stretch, taking your time to move out of stillness and towards a comfortable, upright seat for our 5 minutes of meditation. So, talking about self-care and coming home to ourselves, that which the yoga practice facilitates. We talk about these various layers of self, as I've been speaking about in these past few weeks. The koshas, our innermost layer, is what we might call Atman, soul, bliss body, Ananda, Maya kosha. It's that inner sense of home, that connection to source, well-being. So a mantra or Sanskrit chant that facilitates connection to that inner being is what's playing now. Aham Prema. Aham Prema. Aham means I am. Prema means pure love. I am pure love. So for those of you that would like to chant out loud, I'm going to turn the chant on a little bit louder so that you can sing along if you like, getting into the rhythm of it. But most importantly, the point of a mantra is to steady the mind on one focal point. And the focus might be that feeling state of coming home to yourself, that sense of pure inner joy. You might think of things that you're grateful for right now to help stoke that feeling state. So sitting for a few minutes here. Aham Prema, 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 Prema, Aham 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 Prema. Gently bringing your palms to meet at the center of your chest as you bow in. Let's close this practice with one chant of Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.